Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is your neighbor, Nick, from the Route 36 podcast, your local Monmouth County podcast and news source. So if you're new to the podcast, we sort of collate all the news and happenings around the neighborhood and deliver them to you in a precise, hopefully fun sort of way. And we're going to jump right into the news because there's been a lot going on in our small town and our small community. And unfortunately, a lot of that involves breaking and entering and other criminal activity. So we have a Ring doorbell. I'm sure a lot of you also do, and it seems almost every 2 days there's another incident of someone trying to break into a car or going through people's cars, a lot of the time successfully. So a quick reminder, our town is safe. It's probably one of the main reasons why we moved out here, originally from Brooklyn, New York. But always a constant reminder, make sure to lock your cars. You never know if there's some out-of-towners walking around or other people looking for quick cash or a quick fix. Some scary stuff, but we're going to dive into some of the news around town. And we're going to start with Hazlet, actually. So kind of late October, early November, there was quite an incident. Now, police were originally called to this house in Hazlet. Won't give out the address. I'm not going to dox anyone. But they were originally called out for a domestic dispute of sorts. Police went away, but a bit later that night, 4:34 a.m. actually, police got a call that the man was using a baseball bat to smash the windows of a parked car in the area, sort of near Tralee Road. Ever been? Apparently the person was wearing a ski mask and was last seen fleeing towards Ennis Drive. Not to be worried. The police did use a canine unit. They combed the area and eventually found the person who destroyed the car at their residence in Keansburg, a short distance away. Pretty scary situation, obviously always a bit scary, especially when you have someone fleeing. Just recently, I think a few days ago, on my Ring account, it looked like some teenager was ditching his coat to protect his identity and running through backyards. So pretty scary. Always lock your doors, always set your alarms, etc., etc. Moving along later in the month to about mid-November, there was a break-in in Holmdel. This was around Weller Place, and police responded to a home alarm system, and officers found that there was indeed an attempted burglary at the residence. Not sure if they found the suspect, but also not too long ago, another home was broken into on Yellow Brick Road in Holmdel around 7:20 p.m. So pretty scary. What's the scariest thing is that these break-ins are happening kind of early in the evening. So both of these in Holmdel occurred around 7:30, 7:40 p.m. Continuing on with sort of the crime blotter, in November as well in Holmdel, a pair of thieves actually broke into cars on Winthrop Drive and Bryce Road, Lucarelli Drive, and Fox Hunt Road, all occurring on one Saturday night. Few things were stolen, obviously. These events took place around 5:40 in the morning. Two suspects were seen entering unlocked vehicles in people's driveways. And security footage around other people's properties show that these events took place all within about an hour. So hitting multiple cars, multiple homes, all around Holmdel. One thing to learn here is obviously lock your cars. Now, speaking of cars, if you're like me and your car is always covered in ice and freezing in the morning while you're trying to get to work, New Jersey could fine you $250 for idling your car. Now, this is something that I don't really do personally because I'm always in a rush. Rather than set my alarm an extra 10 minutes early, I set it for the last possible minute and then jump in my freezing car and drive it while it's still warming up. There is actually a law on file that anyone caught leaving their vehicle idling for more than 3 minutes will face a $250 fine. There are certain exceptions, so a car can be left for 15 minutes if the car hasn't been running for at least 3 hours prior. Okay, interesting. But the temperature must be less than 25 degrees, obviously in Fahrenheit. So just something to be on the lookout, especially as folks are trying to make quotas. They may spot someone who isn't aware of this law. Just be cautious out there. You don't want to get jacked for $250, that's for sure. Now, if you are caught on multiple occasions, it will cost you $500 for the second offense and $1,000. It'll set you back $1,000 for the third offense. So, just something to keep in mind as we approach the falling temperatures here in Monmouth County. Continuing with awful news, I'm not sure if you heard about this, but a study found that our local drinking water is actually less safe than what the federal government may deem legal. Taking a few samples of drinking water, the report found that more than 270 harmful contaminants in local drinking water, including Middletown, Holmdel, Hazlet, were linked to cancer and damage to the brain and nervous system. Really not good. Obviously, if you're drinking out of the tap, especially in Hazlet, where over the past few months the water's almost been tasting like grass or very earthy, probably not a good idea. Obviously, we filter it at home. We have a filter built into our refrigerator, which is nice. But even when we were living in New York, which was heralded as being some of the best drinking water on the planet, we still rarely drank out of the tap. But just a heads up, the following contaminants were detected in Monmouth County. Chromium, which is a potential cancer-causing agent, and it contained about 2.5 times more than the environmental guidelines. So, pretty scary stuff. If you want to learn more or even see what your water is like in your exact zip code, you can go to, let me just get it up here, the Environmental Working Group's website. Plug in your zip code and you can see what is actually in the water that you're consuming every day. They also do have a guide to buying water filters. If you find that your local water supply has a high level of dangerous chemicals or byproducts, you can search a filter that specifically blocks that substance. So be careful when you're drinking water. Definitely get a filter if you don't have one already. And just be aware. Again, the Environmental Working Group. Just Google it. You can find out they have samples of 50,000 local water utilities in all 50 states. They're not a sponsor to the show, just trying to keep you safe out there. So now into more positive news. I'm not sure if you guys were watching the Christmas lights show on what was it, ABC, but Hazlet was almost the main event of the show. Johnny's Hazlet Holiday Light Extravaganza. I won't dox and give you the address, but if you Google it, you'll probably find the article on ABC. It was great to see our local town, our small town, highlighted in such a prominent way. We're very grateful for the lights that they bring to the neighborhood. Limousines were involved, all the kiddies were having a great time, and there was even a really cool drone shot of the property showing all the lights and all the fare. It's rare that Hazlet is in the news, and it's great to see such a positive story be highlighted. Made us proud of our town, especially the emotional story that the owners actually have as to why they go above and beyond each year. Really wonderful. If you didn't catch it, I'm sure you can find a repeat or even online, YouTube. Check it out. It's the ABC's Great Christmas Light Fight. Check it out. It's worth seeing our town, and if you don't know the address, take your kiddies there. Really, really wonderful display. Now, I just want to wrap up with some sort of goings-on and developments in the area. So, the Steak and Ale property in Middletown, which has been pretty much just left to rot over the past few years, actually have some 2 new tenants signed up. This is Lash and Nail Spa, and they kind of round out the new construction there. Lash's Everything and Sissy's Nail and Spa have each signed leases, which is pretty exciting. That means that the other tenants, Dunkin' Donuts, Mavis Discount Tire, and The Learning Experience will all be there in that property. This is, of course, at 1287 Route 35. It's now officially 100% leased and expected to open in the first quarter of 2020. So, exciting times. Some people will dislike it due to traffic patterns and also the new Middletown Village, the shops at Middletown, which we'll be covering throughout the year. But, any retail other than just rotting vacant strips is fine by me. Speaking of that, Hazlet Township recently approved a project to build a Wawa convenience store with fueling stations and a restaurant and a Panera Bread with a drive-up window at the Hazlet Town Center, the former Kmart shopping center, which has also been kind of left vacant for many, many moons. So, exciting to see. Obviously, we have plenty of gas stations in the area, but another Wawa, okay, whatever, what have you. Really looking forward to Hazlet's first Starbucks, which is supposed to be opening up at the old Friendly's location. I check bi-weekly to see the progress on that. I did see a sign go up, but still no real Starbucks branding. We'll keep our eyes on that as the year progresses. It's been about a year and a half in the making, so hopefully that opens soon as well. In other Hazlet development news, Rose Commercial Real Estate Group recently purchased a 14,112 square foot retail property at 14 Route 36 in Hazlet. Now, this is the Best Buy Liquors spot, so in addition to that, there'll be a CVS pharmacy, and this is kind of an area that sees about 30,000 cars per day, so should be a booming spot. Finally, some more development news at the Freehold Raceway Mall, which we visit from time to time. A few new stores, so casual men's clothing store, Untuckit, is now open on the upper level of the JCPenney wing. And also a new hair and skincare retailer, Avida, has opened in the lower level, across from Vicky's Secret. Now, rounding that out, we also have a Carter's Oshkosh, which opened not too long ago on the lower level. And there's also the discount retailer that everyone loves, Five Below, now is officially opened at the Raceway Mall. And finally, Finish Line, which is a sporty apparel store, they're open near the Apple Store. So a few new stores at Freehold Raceway. We will be following that. If anything else comes along, we will let you know for sure. And that really rounds out the news that I had for this episode. If you're new to the podcast, we try and do things every 2 weeks, a bi-weekly podcast, but certain months it may take a little longer, certain months it may be more frequent. So make sure to subscribe to the podcast. We're on all the channels you'd expect: iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and also on YouTube. If all those options fail you, you can always go to route36podcast.com. So as always, this has been Nick, your neighbor, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in.